Hello everyone, welcome to your 19th Grasshopper tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to learn about lists and sorting your lists and items and stuff like that. So I was trying to postpone lists as much as I can in my tutorials because I think it's a little bit, it can be a little bit daunting to see lists in your definitions when you're just beginning to learn Grasshopper. And I think like now it's a really perfect time to learn lists and how to use them and how to use the items you have in your list to create more advanced and more controlled definitions where you can really use and utilize these like lists to make whatever you really want actually. So today we're going to learn something really fun, which is basically we have a circle here and we want to make a point, which is this point here, a point like an evaluation point on your circle, and you want whatever points are like really close to your evaluation point to create spheres on them. So wherever I go, it's just calculating the nearest points we have and then making spheres out of it. So this is basically all done using lists in Grasshopper. So let's try and make a new one. So the first thing you want to do is just go to your top view and just draw one circle and a bunch of points around the circle. Now try to make your points a bit away from it and not like don't touch the circle itself. It doesn't make any difference, just to make it more clear. I would really prefer if all the points were away from the circle. So let's start with Grasshopper. Okay, so I'm gonna try to explain lists as easy as I can, and it's like a really simple concept if you get to understand it and like what it really does. There's so many tutorials on the internet and like what our lists are. So this is my my explanation of what a list is in Grasshopper. So the first thing you want to do is just grab a curve and get a point. So yeah, first thing I want to do is just right click, set multiple points, and just set one curve. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is just get an evaluate curve, and then right click, reparameterize it, connect, and just get a slider. So reparameterizing is basically making it from 0 to 1. So you really wouldn't have to guess the length of your curve because from 0 to 1 covers the entire curve from start to finish. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is just get something called the distance, which is basically calculating the distance between all the points we have here and the evaluation point we have. So just connect here and here, and if you just get a panel and connect the distance to your panel, we can see that we have a list. So this is what lists are in Grasshopper. And if you just double click and type in scribble, you really have to know what are the basic components of a list. So the first thing you have to really know is called the index. And the index is all the numbers you have here. See this from 0, 1, 2, 3. These are the index numbers that we have. And like every element we have in the list holds an index number. So the index would be this part here. If you can see, there's like a faint line. The next thing is called an item. So just double click and type in item, and we have an item. So index is this here. And try to remember like what's an index, because it's like really important to understand the difference between the index and the item. So if you just remember that this here is the index, you'd be fine. Like you don't have to even know that this is the item. As long as you really understand what an index is, like work is half done almost. Item is all the numbers you have here. So the item here is now distance, and these are all the distances we have. These are the items we have. So the item can be like a line, it can be a point. Like if you get a panel here, like let's get a panel and just connect it, we can see that here our items are just reference points. So it really depends like what are you connecting, like to which definition. So the points here are the items in this list, and here the distances are the items in this list. So like I said, if you really remember what an index is, like common sense, the other one would be an item. The last one here is called the path, And I think I'll explain this a little more in advance, like in another tutorial. So the path here can be from 1 number, 2 number, 3 numbers, sometimes 4 numbers. So today we're just going to learn about the index and the item. So try to remember which is the index and which is the item. Okay, so let's just delete this. The thing with panels is that I really prefer when I don't see panels in my definitions. I mean, they're only there to explain what's going on in your definition, but it really doesn't make a difference. Like if I just get, let's say, what can I get? Sort list, and just connect it like this, it won't make a difference. Like, see, it doesn't turn red, and if it doesn't turn red, that means it's fine. The next, actually, I forgot to mention something. You can do so many things actually with the list you have. So if you just go to your like third tab, we have an entire tab called like sets, and one entire group called lists. And here you can see what are the things you can do with your list. So just go to the upper part here. So let's try and get another panel and see what you can do with lists. So the first thing we want to see is, let's say, reverse list. So we just type in reverse list would be fine. And if you connect it, we can see that the last number here was 9.14. Now it's the first number, and 11 is now the second number. So it basically just like kind of reversed all the numbers you have yeah, from the list. So let's say I want to go and type in length, which is list length. And you can see that we have here number 32, and you're wondering what's 32. It's basically how many index we have. So it starts always from 0. Like the index never starts at 1, it starts at 0. Keep that in mind, that indexes always start at 0. So it's from 0 to 31, and that makes it like 32 items or 32 elements we have in our list. So this is 32. The next thing we have is probably sort list, and if you just connect it, we can see that it sorted it like from A to Z, and it basically just found the lowest number you have here and placed it as the first item, and the highest number became like the last item. So the lowest distance we have from our evaluation point to the other points is 2.25, and the furthest point we have on our like multiple points is 22.36. Another list we can see is shift list, and shift list is really interesting. Shift list, by default, it just offsets it to 1. So if you go up here, if you notice, like the second number was 13, now it's the first number, and the 0, it just went down below here in 18. So if you say, okay, wait, I want the second one to be shifted, so just type in, let's say, 2. And if you just connect it here, you can see that the second one became shifted up, and whatever was up here, it was shifted down. So yeah, shift can be really interesting, like if you know how to use it. And probably this should be it. So yeah, like if you're feeling like it's a bit hard to differentiate between index and items, it's probably because it's just new vocabulary, and it's like we're not really used to it, like using indexes and items. So this tutorial we're gonna like make it as easy as possible. Now if you like to have your list apparent, then leave it. If not, you can just delete it, it won't make any difference. So the next thing I want to do is actually sort this list. And sorting this list, because I really want the, like we said in the example, I want the closest point from my evaluation point to make, like, to create a sphere on. So sorting the list, we can just connect the distance here and connect the points to the value. So be really careful which one is connected to which. So the distance connected to the k, which is the key element, or like key lists, and the a is actually the points you have. So the next thing you want to type in is an item, and like we said, the list item is the items here. So this is the items and these are the indexes. And what an item does, it actually allows you to choose which item you want to use in your list. So this is actually not the list we're using right now. We're actually using this list because we sorted it, and sorting it makes it like from the lowest number to the highest number. So this is just reading what the initial distances were, and this is how the numbers were sorted after we made like a definition of sort. So item is basically you get to use, like you get to connect which list you want to use. So this is the list we have, and we have here the indexes. So when I choose like which index I want, it just says, okay, I want to use this item, which is this index. Okay, I don't know if it makes any sense. So let's say I want to use like index number 5. So just type in 5, connect it here to your index, and if I get that panel, we can see that okay, wait, because it's like a reference one, like this. So we have here the panel. Index number 5 is this one. Yeah, so 5 is 4.603. So let's say I want index number 0, it's 2 points. So it says I want to use this item from this list. Okay, so 0 is this one. If I say I want to use index number 7, it goes to 7 and it says, okay, we're going to use this distance to work with. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is basically what an item is. An item is just choosing which index with its information you want to use, like separating it from the list. So yeah, yeah, this is basically what an item is. The next thing you want to do is get a sphere, and we're going to connect this sphere to the item, and we have to put back this one. So when you're sorting, you really have to make sure, like if you find there's something wrong, it's probably you probably connected the key or the A. So the A is are the reference points because we connected to the point here, and the K is like the numbers we have from the distances. So make sure that you connect the A to the list we have, and we have here. So we have here the sphere. So just say I want the radius a bit, yeah. So let's say we have a sphere here, and this is our point. So if I move my point on the reference, on the evaluation point, we can see that it creates a sphere around the point which is closest to the point I'm moving, or the evaluation point I'm moving around the point we have. So let's say I want 3 points. Let's say I want the closest 3 points from the evaluation point I have. So what you can do is actually get a bunch of other items. So just say we'll copy this, and okay. So you want to actually, the list is the same. Like we have this list, and we just want to get a bunch of items from this list. So we're just gonna disconnect the index number. Type in here. So if I just connect it here and here, if you notice we have, okay, let's also connect the items. So just hit shift so we can connect it to the base and also the other one. So you can see we have actually 3 spheres on top of each other. That's because we have the same index number. So let's say I choose here number 1 and I choose here number 2. So you're probably wondering what is 1 and what is 2. It's really simple. Like 0 is the closest we have to the point. 1 is the second closest point we have to our evaluation point, and 2 is the third closest distance we have to our point. So if I just moved in, let's say I want what is this, the 7th, which is basically the 8th closest point we have, because we're starting from 0. And from 0 to 7 is 8, so this is the 8th distance we have from our point. So 0, 1, 2 is 0 is the closest point, 1 is the second closest point, and 3 is the third closest point. I hope that makes sense. If you move the point we have here, we can see that it's choosing the closest 3 points it has from the evaluation point we have. So if you just go like this, we can see that the numbers are changing. The numbers here won't matter, you actually need the numbers here, so we can see that the numbers are changing, which are being sorted around the evaluation point. So I really hope this wasn't so hard. If you really understand this, you can do whatever you want in Grasshopper, because every definition you have has a list, and if you know how to deal with the items and the indexes in these lists and actually use and like utilize them, you can do so many cool stuff with Grasshopper. So I hope this was easy to understand, and I guess I'll see you next tutorial.